You just landed, your bags are packed, passport stamped, and you have a flawless 100-day streak on your language app. You feel perfectly prepared. Then you climb into an Uber. The driver asks you a rapid-fire question using local slang, and you freeze. You memorized pristine textbook vocabulary, but the people actually standing in front of you at the market, they are moving fast, blending words, and relying on street-level colloquialisms you have never heard before. Is this a failure of your memory or a structural flaw in the mass-market language apps we all use? This chart illustrates the problem. You put a massive amount of effort into maintaining that gamified streak on the top timeline. But down here on the bottom timeline, during a real 30-second interaction at a street stall, your communication drops to zero. To sort this out, we have to look at a specific trade-off, using broad, mass-market habit builders versus highly targeted, localized dialect trainers. Getting a high score on a gamified system does not automatically grant you functional, street-level fluency when you actually travel. To serve tens of millions of users across the globe simultaneously, giant language apps require a massive, highly scalable curriculum. To achieve that scale, they have to standardize the language. They teach a middle-of-the-road version that is perfectly correct, but completely generic. This animated word web shows what happens to generic vocabulary. The word tomato fractures into vastly different regional terms. If you ask for tomate in Mexico City, you get tomatillos. For a red tomato, you need jitomate. Mass curricula omit this distinction entirely. Generic curricula are a byproduct of massive scale. To reach a global audience, content prioritizes broad reach over the nuances of a single city. Most learners quit because progress is slow and boring. Gamification addresses this directly, using streaks to turn language study into a reliable daily habit. Mechanics like leaderboards, streaks, and hearts turn a daunting task into an accessible routine. If you are starting from zero, they build an excellent foundation. To weigh these tools objectively, let's look at this scorecard matrix across 3 categories: habit building, dialect specificity, and financial model. For mass market apps, high daily engagement earns them top marks in the habit building column. But here's the primary trade-off. Broad literacy leaves you blind to local slang and cultural context. In the dialect specificity column, they fall short. Even their advanced AI pronunciation feedback is calibrated to generic speech. They won't teach you the sing-song rhythm of Medellin or the distinct sh sound you will hear everywhere on the streets of Buenos Aires. The mass market giant is incredibly effective at maintaining your daily practice, but it leaves a significant gap in authentic regional communication. Now, let's look at the alternative philosophy, building a curriculum from the ground up for a single, specific city, like Paris, rather than a generalized language. Specialized apps like StreetTongue prioritize practical scenario challenges. Instead of translating a generic sentence like "the woman drinks water," you practice negotiating prices at a local market or speaking to an Uber driver. This forces you to focus strictly on the exact words and phrases locals use on day one. Let's run this targeted approach through our scorecard. Because every phrase is city-specific, it easily earns top marks for dialect specificity. This specialized phonetic scoring requires you to abandon strict textbook rules. To pass, you have to adopt the authentic local cadence. The major trade-off here is flexibility. If you spend months mastering Mexican street Spanish, that highly specific knowledge is far less useful if you suddenly change your travel plans and fly to Madrid. Targeted apps trade broad, flexible literacy for immediate, actionable survival skills in one precise geographic location. These 2 different educational philosophies are supported by 2 very different financial models. This graph tracks costs over a 3-year timeline. Premium mass market subscriptions run around $168 a year, compounding continuously. Contrast that with StreetTongue's one-time purchase model. The subscription line quickly eclipses the flat cost of owning the tool outright. One model keeps you in a cycle of renting access to general knowledge. The other involves a single purchase for lifetime ownership of a targeted skill. Your choice and pricing model perfectly reflects your end goal: casual, ongoing general maintenance, or a focused, project-based acquisition. Rather than competing, these tools function as a sequence, serving different needs as you move closer to your departure date. To identify which tool you need right now, look at this decision flowchart. Ask yourself, do you have a specific city destination in the next 12 months? If your answer is no, you fall into the casual explorer profile. For testing the waters or maintaining high school language skills, a free tier habit builder provides the most exposure for the lowest investment. But if your answer is yes, you are a targeted traveler. If you have an imminent flight to a specific city, a generic app streak will fail you at the counter. You have to pivot to scenario-based dialect practice to comfortably interact with the locals. If you want to stop sounding like a generic textbook and acquire real street fluency before you land, click the link below to download StreetTongue. Let me know in the comments, what specific regional slang word or phrase tripped you up the hardest during your last trip abroad?